Hello, everyone, and welcome into our Packers News Facebook Live. I'm joined by Ryan Wood of Packers News. Ryan, thank you for welcoming me. Golly, good thing I don't have to talk for a living. Thank you for welcoming me onto the beat. First of all, crazy first day on my end. Crazy day, Packers news all around. Aaron Rodgers not only test positive for COVID-19, seems like he might be out for a while. The Packers did officially put out a press release about 5 minutes ago saying they placed him on the reserve COVID-19 list. First of all, just initial reactions when you heard the news. I know that one of the other quarterbacks tested positive a couple of days ago. Were you expecting possibilities of Rodgers getting on that list as well? Or was this just inevitable at some point this season?
Well, first of all, Cassie, like we were talking about just a while ago, not every day in Packerland is like today. So
sure, that's what they all say.
Right. Welcome. It's great to have you. First day.
Thank you.
It won't always be like this, I promise. But no, it was always a possibility, the same as it's a possibility for any player, right? I mean, what do we know about COVID-19 now? You can get it whether you're vaccinated or not. Mm-hmm. The vaccination helps with the symptoms. That's what the medical professionals say. So it's not a surprise that Aaron Rodgers got COVID-19, especially when Davante Adams, who he's very close with, went on the COVID-19 reserve list with a positive test last week. Kurt Bankert, the practice squad quarterback, shares a room with Aaron Rodgers. He went on the COVID-19 reserve list earlier this week. The shock, and it's a shock for a good reason, is that Aaron Rodgers is not vaccinated. Mm-hmm. That is according to multiple reports, including us at Packers News. He is not vaccinated. And I asked Aaron Rodgers directly on August 26th, late in training camp, are you vaccinated? That was the specific question. Are you vaccinated? What's your stance on vaccination? And he said, yeah, I'm immunized. It was a strange wording at the time, and in hindsight, it obviously he did not say he's vaccinated. He said he's immunized. They're not the same thing. And because of that, Kassidy, he's going to be out a minimum of 10 days. It puts in jeopardy. He's already out this week against Kansas City. It puts in jeopardy next week's game against Seattle because he cannot return until November 13th. That's the day before. So, yeah, that's the real shock to that.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get into some of the game prep and what this means for Jordan Love and the Kansas City game on Sunday in just a minute here. But first, let's just stick with Aaron Rodgers. The fact that he used the word immunized, I called in a lifeline. My mom's a nurse. I said, what's the difference between vaccinated and immunized? She said, immunized essentially just means that you have the antibodies in some shape, form, or fashion. You could have gotten them from the vaccine. You could have gotten them from having an antibody transmission. You could have gotten them from having COVID itself. Aaron Rodgers, as we know, is a very intelligent individual. I don't think in hindsight that the word immunized was incorrectly used, if that makes sense. I'm sure it was very intentional. When you look back, like you said, you asked the question. He did say yes, but then he used a different word. You feel like that was purposely done?
Well, everything Aaron Rodgers says is intentional. And this is why I've been very careful today to say that he did not lie. Because first of all, I don't like calling someone a liar that I speak to regularly without talking to the person first. I mean, I think that's just basic courtesy. Beyond that, though, it is an intentional word. Aaron Rodgers has talked before about how he does not misspeak. I mean, this guy is very calculated and knows the words that he's saying are purposeful. And so there's reporting out there that he got a homeopathic treatment this summer and petitioned the NFL to be exempt from the league and the NFLPA's protocols so that he could be, because of his antibodies, which would be immunization. So, no, it's very, very possible that Aaron Rodgers did not lie. However, you could, considering the question was specifically, are you vaccinated? He said, yeah, it was the first answer.
Right.
You could say that, if you see that as misleading, I can see where you're coming from as well. So, again, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a lot to answer for today. Today, this Wednesday, is his usual day to speak with reporters, hold court during game week. Obviously wasn't able to do that. There will come a time when Aaron Rodgers does speak again. And at that time, he will have a lot to answer for.
Yeah, I mean, he was on track, or at least in my opinion, to sort of matching or outplaying his MVP season of last year. So it's not like he can't just sort of take a back seat the rest of the NFL season. He is going to be back in front of that podium at some point. The Packers as well are going to be under the microscope at this point. Matt LaFleur said today that he felt they had followed the protocols in that building. I think his exact words were, in this building, yes. That being said, I guess a lot of it does depend on whether or not Aaron Rodgers was able to get that, what you said, the NFLPA like leniency to say that was equitable to a vaccine. If that's not the case, we have seen him without a mask on the sideline. We know there was a huge Halloween party this past weekend. Could there be further fines, penalties, or extensive protocols put into place for the Packers coming?
There could be. Says yes. Matt LaFleur said that he hasn't heard anything like that now. But look, how about the fact that before today, every week, every Wednesday before today and during the season, he has stood at the podium unmasked with obviously social distance and more than 6 feet away from reporters, but unmasked. That's the podium's in the building. Mm-hmm. So that's team facility. There's some clarity that needs to be shed on that. Matt LaFleur said that he feels like the protocols have been met, but if you are required, and that's part of the agreement, you're required to wear a mask inside team facilities. We've seen Aaron Rodgers without a mask inside team facilities.
Mm-hmm. If he is out for the minimum of 10 days, I think the maximum, as long as you eventually test negative, is 14. Is this enough to deter this Packers season? I mean, the next two games are Kansas City and Seattle, who are not the powerhouses that they have always been, at least not this season. Are these next 2 weeks enough to derail what has been a pretty special season thus far?
At minimum, it's a hiccup because Patrick Mahomes against Jordan Love is not the same thing as Patrick Mahomes against Aaron Rodgers, obviously. This team was absolutely rolling. 7 straight wins after the whatever the heck the opener was. They've gotten back on track. And you're looking at, again, potentially a game against Seattle where they might not have their quarterback as well. I think that's going to be fascinating. Does Aaron Rodgers need to practice to play? He can do things on Zoom, so you can get part of the meetings and all those sort of things. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Aaron Rodgers does play next week. But it's at minimum a hiccup. I think the concern for this team is you look at the NFC right now, it's so top-heavy. There's 4 one-loss teams in the NFC. We know how important home field advantage is, especially at Lambeau Field. Now, we also know that home field advantage isn't the end-all, be-all because the Packers just lost an NFC Championship game at Lambeau Field against a warm-weather team from Tampa Bay. So it doesn't necessarily mean that home field means you're going to go to the Super Bowl, but this team wants home field. And with so much crowded, just how crowded the top of the NFC is, to lose a game or two here because you don't have your quarterback, it could make a difference for home field late in the season. So, yeah, it's absolutely one of those things that could have a late season impact.
A warm weather team led by a cold weather quarterback. We'll give it that little admin. Let's talk about Jordan Love specifically this coming Sunday against Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City, like we said, are not the world beaters we've seen of the past, or at least the past 2 years. This is still a defense that has Tyrann Mathieu, that has that front seven. Is it enough to shake? There's so much we don't know about Jordan Love. So, I mean, what do you sort of weigh here when you look at this Kansas City defense that still has some of these Pro Bowlers versus a quarterback who's never really played more than a couple of series?
Well, it's going to be fascinating. I mean, the first reaction when you hear the news today is shock, right? Kenny Clark said that himself. I asked Kenny Clark, what was your reaction? He said, just shock. Pretty normal human reaction. I think we're all there. The second reaction, it's fascinating that the Jordan Love era, in the most peculiar way, is going to get started, even if it's just a week or two. It's going to get started earlier than what anyone expected because we don't know anything about Jordan Love beyond a handful of preseason games. That's it, right? And really, it's just 2. It's a pair of preseason games because he was injured for week 2 of the preseason this year. So we haven't seen him that much. He looked promising. He looked talented in those preseason games. The preseason finale, he did play extensively against the Buffalo Bills starters. So it's not like he hasn't seen a starting defense before, but he hasn't seen anything like this. I mean, preseason's so vanilla. Now he's going to be game planned for. There's no secrets. I mean, a lot of times coaches during the week like what the Packers have been doing with David Bakhtiari. Matt LaFleur's not saying whether David Bakhtiari is getting activated from the PUP and playing until he absolutely has to because of the element of surprise. There is no element of surprise with Jordan Love. The Kansas City Chiefs and everyone else knows that he's the quarterback. He's taking snaps this week. He's going to get game planned against. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see what he's able to do. I think that for me, that was the second reaction. Like, wow, it's Jordan Love week. And what can this guy do on this stage? What was the most highly anticipated game of the week because Patrick Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers? It's going to be fascinating what he does on that stage.
We do have a comment here from Facebook from Brian Murphy asking, I think the question that's on everyone's mind, who's next when Love gets injured? I think LaFleur asked today, can you throw? I mean, who do they have behind him? Sometimes in those situations, last year we saw teams have that contingency plan, that emergency plan, because it was so much more, probable that you would lose a quarterback to COVID. We even heard about some teams like quarantining a guy away in a hotel room just to be safe. Who do they have behind him? Does it end up becoming, where you pull a wide receiver who played quarterback in high school? And I know that Matt LaFleur talked about that a little bit today. So kind of from your perspective, what is their plan for an emergency situation?
The expectation is that it will be Blake Bortles. That hasn't been made official yet, but Blake Bortles was on this team this offseason. He's at least been versed in Matt LaFleur's offense from that time, and he's played a lot of ball. He obviously knows Nathaniel Hackett very well. He spent a couple seasons there in Jacksonville. I know that you know that organization quite well. So there's some familiarity here in multiple ways for Blake Bortles. He's reportedly on his way to Green Bay. Makes a lot of sense. So that's expected to be your backup for Jordan Love, the backup for the backup this week. But he can't get here fast enough because right now it's Jordan Love. I mean that's the quarterback room. It's one person, and not just the starting reps, which Jordan Love will get all of, but they need someone to take practice squad reps and prepare the Packers starting defense. Matt LaFleur was talking today like he's got to get that old college arm, former college quarterback, warmed up and maybe take some practice squad snaps, which of course he's not actually going to do. But that's it's a dire situation at that room. Blake Bortles needs to get here fast.
Yeah, like you said, I have covered Blake Bortles in the past. He's not necessarily the most polished, but he's got moxie. I guess that would be the nicest way to put it. We'll give him that.
Moxie, that's a good word.
Moxie, good word. That he'll lower his shoulder. I'll take a practice squad paycheck and go out there and throw some lame ducks so they can practice.
Not a bad way to make a living. It's good work and you get it.
I thought that one thing that was really interesting that Matt LaFleur said today was he was asked, is Jordan Love ready? And he took a long pause, long enough to be noticeable, and then said, we'll find out. Do you, accelerate what he does in practice this week? It's already Wednesday. Do you have enough time to prepare a young quarterback? And I know you touched a little bit on this, he faced the Bill starters, but do you have enough time to prepare a young quarterback for this game?
Well, no
question. With the offense.
Yeah, the playbook is not going to be what it would be with Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, it's going to be pared down. It's going to be simplified. It's going to be a playbook for a quarterback making his first career start and on the road, no less. So, yeah, it's not going to be the same. Now, the good thing is that this is Wednesday, right? So this is the first day of practice. He was out there taking all the first-team reps today. He'll get that Thursday and Friday as well. So, in essence, I mean, it's not the same as when David Bakhtiari last year, week 17, goes down at the end of a Thursday practice, and all of a sudden you're figuring out what are we doing at left tackle, and you got one day to figure that out. He does get the week. It's going to be very different. I think that's part of the fascination. It's an incredibly intriguing week. I mean, if you're a Packers fan, you're not happy about it because you want your MVP quarterback out there. You want the guy who's won 7 straight games like that. There's no silver lining to Aaron Rodgers not playing this week, but it is going to be really fascinating to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. This could be the beginning of the Love legend, or the legend of Love. Which rolls off the tongue better?
Legend of Love. I like it.
Love. I like it. It sounds like an old 80s rock album. Matt LaFleur did indicate he felt like Davante Adams would be back tomorrow, Thursday. How much will that addition just sort of help a young quarterback to have that guy out there almost as a safety blanket? But at the same time, you don't have Robert Tonyan. I guess, who do they have out there that can sort of step up and become the it guy for this offense as Jordan Love most likely bumbles his way through his first game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a positive, right? I just said there's no silver linings, and there aren't, but that's at least a positive that it's not like this offense around the quarterback position will be as depleted as it was last week at Arizona, where they were without their top 3 receivers. Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Allen Lazard to practice this week. They look like they're going to be back. Marquez Valdez-Scantling hasn't played in 5 games because of the hamstring injury, but it looks like he's making a positive strides toward coming back. Allen Lazard he's back from being on the COVID-19 reserve list as a close contact to Davante Adams. Obviously, Davante Adams is the big question, and we'll see if he's back on Thursday. It means the world to anybody throwing a football, but especially a young quarterback to have a guy like Davante Adams to throw to. So that would make a big difference. And you can rest assured, as much as the running game is going to be a big part this week, like the Packers are really going to want to run the ball, they're going to want to get the ball to Davante Adams as well, if he can come back from COVID-19 by Sunday.
Yeah. I did see Marquez Valdez-Scantling out at practice today. He was doing little dance moves before he got into his drill. So he was moving okay, at least as far as I could tell. So we'll see what that looks like on Sunday. Just one last thing, Ryan. Let's jump to the other side of the ball real quick. The defense, a lot of times, you just had to keep it low enough for Aaron Rodgers to do his thing, or, give him the ball back with 42 seconds left or whatever it was. Do they have enough pieces there? I know there's been some turnover. Do they have enough pieces there to stop Patrick Mahomes, who has been a turnover machine so far this season, but at the end of the day is still Patrick Mahomes? Do they have that ability to do that without having Aaron Rodgers there to save the day?
Well, I think the big question of that matchup is, and you said it earlier, was, Kansas City's not been the juggernaut that Kansas City has been. Big question is whether or not Patrick Mahomes is going to continue stopping Patrick Mahomes, right? If he's going to continue being careless with the football, giving it to the defense. The Packers have shown that they will take advantage of that. They've been much better since that debacle of the opener, and they've been creating turnovers. They've been making plays on that side of the ball. So if the plays are there to be made, they'll make them. If Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Right. Is there a defense in this league that can really stand up against that? I'm not sure. It's just he hasn't been that guy this year. And short of that, if he's not again, that could be a big benefit for the Packers.
I think you said it best. The person that's been beating Patrick Mahomes the most so far is Patrick Mahomes himself. So we'll see if he can do it again for the Packers on Sunday. I have no doubt, Ryan, that this story is only just getting started, that we're just getting to the tip of the iceberg. We'll hope that it's over, but I'm sure it's not. Everyone stay tuned to Packers News for all the latest coverage on Aaron Rodgers, the COVID-19 situation, and, of course, your Green Bay Packers as they get ready for the Kansas City Chiefs. Thanks so much for joining us, Ryan, and for everyone watching.